2025 was a pretty good year for finding time at the workbench. I think I've built over 30 models this year, and with this in mind it's probably time to reflect on these kits and see which were not great, but also those that were truly a joy to build. So in this video, join me on the workbench as I take a look back at the 5 best model kits I built this year. Hello everyone, I'm Matt and this is Model Minutes. As someone who makes reviews about model kits, I've compiled this list keeping in mind some of the following criteria. So first up, what is the quality of the product like? Is this a high quality moulding, or does it suffer from lots of flash and other imperfections? How old is the tooling of this kit? Some companies like to hide old toolings in new boxes, and this will be taken into consideration with the models treated appropriately. How well designed is the model, and do the parts fit together well, or does the model need a lot of work to make it look acceptable? Finally, how many marking schemes does the model come with, and are any included decals printed to a high quality? Of course, I can't just base my opinions on something without having also built it, so I will also be considering my own experience of the kit. How well did I manage to build it? Did I encounter any problems with the model, or did I make mistakes myself that could have affected the final outcome? Finally, and I think most importantly, did I have fun and enjoy building the model? After all, what's the point of a hobby if you don't enjoy it? All of these things have helped inform my experiences and choices over the last 12 months, and keeping these things in mind, I've created the following list. With that mentioned, let's get straight into number 5. In this position, I'm going to place the Hobby Boss Bearcat in 1/48 scale. This is an easy assembly kit which was a breeze to put together. The level of detail was pretty nice and the mould quality was pretty decent too, with there being virtually no flash on the parts. Sadly, I found the mould seam down the centre of the canopy to be a little disappointing, and the quality of the decals was a little lower than those from other companies that will appear on this list. This model is a 2011 tooling, but the version I built here was a recent purchase of a 2017 release. It's not overly expensive either, with examples able to be picked up for less than £25, which makes it fairly competitive with other similar model types in the same scale. Sadly, I did make a few mistakes in this kit. The paintwork isn't as smooth as it should be, which may be my fault for spraying the primer too far away and causing a rough surface for the paint. Also, I did break a cannon barrel by accident, and I had to make my own replacement. Generally though, this was a pretty nice kit to build which only took about 4 days to do, and I will definitely be looking to explore more of the Hobby Boss range in the future if they are all this pleasant to construct. Moving on to 4th position, let me introduce you to the Trumpeter P40 or Tomahawk in 1/72 scale. The P40 is one of my favourite aircraft types, so it's probably no surprise that I built a couple of different variants of this plane this year. The Trumpeter kit was a wonderful model to build, with a good level of detail, good mould quality, great fit of the parts, and the choice of 3 different paint schemes. It was tooled in 2007, so features many of the design aspects, such as recessed panel lines, that we expect from model kits today. As far as I know though, this has only ever been released in the single boxing that I have here, which means that repeat purchases of this kit are probably a bit unlikely unless Trumpeter decides to introduce some new paint schemes in the future. The decals were not as high quality as other brands, but were perfectly usable. The low part count of only 38 pieces, as well as the simple design of the model, meant that I was able to fully complete the build in only about 5 days. Despite these positive aspects, it is a little pricey when you compare it to other similar kits of the P40 in 1/72 scale, with examples of this kit retailing for over £12 here in the UK, and as this model does not come with a pilot, raised landing gear option and other choices for displaying the model that are also featured in some of the competing kits from other brands, I think this model takes a well-deserved place at 4th position in this list. Now, let us look at the model kit that was 3rd best this year. I've decided to place the Tamiya P51D Mustang in 1/48 scale in this rather commendable position. This kit is probably one of the older toolings on this list. but despite its origins being from the mid-90s, it still holds up really well. It had a low level of flash, good recessed details, and the model fit together almost perfectly. I didn't need to use any filler, and cleanup of the parts was really minimal. Construction was fairly quick due to the clever design of the kit, and with a variety of paint schemes included, it helped make a good value for money product. Retailing for between £20 and £25 here in the UK, this is a pretty cost-effective way of getting a 1/48 scale Mustang on your workbench. Unfortunately, a few little problems with this kit have prevented it from climbing higher in this list. Firstly, although a pilot is included in the kit, Tamiya did not design a raised landing gear option into the model. The main gear bay doors do actually fit perfectly in the main gear bays, and I used them as paint masks. But sadly, the tailwheel bay is moulded onto the fuselage in the open position, so modification of the kit would be needed to depict the aircraft in flight. Another thing that I struggled with was the decals. They are printed to a nice quality, but are incredibly thick, which meant that despite using multiple applications of setting solutions, they were really reluctant to settle into the surface details. Maybe I need to get some of Tamiya's own brand setting solution in the future. Perhaps that will work better on them. This is a pleasant build and would be perfect for getting your mojo back if you were struggling with finding time at the workbench, and I will definitely be considering purchasing some more Tamiya kits in the future based on my mostly positive experience with this one. Before I move on to the top spots in this video, I would like to make some honourable mentions. These are kits I've enjoyed, but perhaps were not quite able to place in the top 5 in this video this year. So the first honourable mention is another kit from Tamiya. Their 3.7cm anti-tank gun in 1/35 scale. This is an older, more classic Tamiya kit which has its origins in the 1970s. It does feature some seam lines on the parts that had to be cleaned up and was a little fiddly in places. The real positive aspects of this kit is the good level of detail and the fact that it's such a cheap kit, coming in around £6 here in the UK, which means it's pretty much a pocket money product. I had quite a lot of fun building mine, placing it in a little scene to really try and show off the lovely details and design of this classic model. It was great to try something a little different and explore some variety in subjects on my workbench with this one. A second honourable mention goes to the Airfix Vampire in 1/72 scale. This kit is based off the 2013 Vampire T11 kit, but I decided to build it in a custom C Vampire T22 paint scheme using aftermarket decals. I modified the model to feature a display stand so that I could have it flying on my shelf, and thanks to the included pilot figures in the kit and a raised landing gear option, it meant that this was a very simple job to do. I really like the vibrant colours of this model kit, and it was great to build with no major issues. A third and final honourable mention goes to the Airfix Tempest in 1/72 scale. This is another great kit to build, not being too expensive at about £12 and featuring a modern tooling from 2021. The level of detail was good, the fit of the parts was decent, and there was virtually no flash present. You got a choice of paint schemes in this kit, and I decided to depict this one also in a flying pose in a bare metal post-war scheme. Another great mojo build, but perhaps not quite as fulfilling as some of the other kits or projects that found their way onto my workbench this year. So, moving on to the top 2 spots, I'm actually doing something that I haven't done before. We're skipping second place and awarding a joint first to 2 model kits, because I found it really difficult to decide an overall winner. In joint first position, I have decided to place the Airfix Land Rover starter set in 1/43 scale and the Airfix Supermarine Swift in 1/72 scale. So the reason these are tied is because they both have small problems, but in different ways, that kind of balance them in the rankings. Firstly, the Supermarine Swift is a great model of a slightly obscure aircraft. The real Swift was fairly short-lived in real-life service, and there aren't many mainstream models of it out there. The Airfix kit depicts an FR5 version and was originally tooled in 2015, but did see another release of the same kit recently as well. Mine was the original first release from 2015 and featured a good level of detail, a minimum of flash, and generally a good design, with only a little persuasion in places to get the parts to fit together. It did come with some options such as the lowered or raised landing gear and flaps, as well as an open or closed canopy. Sadly, no pilot was included in this one, which was a bit of a shame. There are some tiny sink marks in the wings as well, which although not massively noticeable, you might be able to spot them when viewing from the right angle. The main problem with this kit, and I think it is probably related to it being a fairly standalone or niche subject, is that it's a bit more expensive than it should be. Retailing at a recommended price of £24.99, it actually makes it cost more than some of the 1/48 scale kits we've seen on this list, and so for these negative aspects I couldn't place this in first position solely on its own. The positives of this kit though are that it represents a really interesting little subject. It was a joy to build, and the included decals were fantastic, and you got 2 different schemes to choose from. I had quite a lot of fun building this one, and even experimented with magnetising the optional belly tank on the lower side of the aircraft, so I could decide to display it on or off depending on my mood. This was genuinely one of my favourite kits to build this year, and I would love to do another one in the future. Perhaps if Airfix drops the price and brings out some different versions, it could even make it into the top spot by itself. The other model tied in this position is the Airfix Land Rover starter set in 1/43 scale. This is probably the most recent model kit on this list, with the tooling dating from 2023. The fit of the parts was really quite excellent, with only one small fit issue where the back of the cab met the roof being noticeable. It's not overly expensive, retailing at £14.99, and it featured a selection of paints and things to help you get started. Cartograph decals were included for the license plates and logos, and these were printed to a lovely quality. But the small problems that also prevent this from winning outright was in the included paint. I found the quality of this paint to be less than fantastic, with poor opacity, meaning they struggled to apply to the plastic and provide a good level of coverage. I did end up having to use my own paints to complete this build. I used this project as an opportunity to create a little diorama, pairing the Land Rover with some 3D printed figures and other details, which I think help elevate this rather simple and cheap model kit to the next level. So yeah, whilst both of these model kits had some problems and prevented either one from winning outright this year, the reason why they are here is because the positives do generally outweigh the negatives, and ultimately they were the projects that gave me the most joy this year. And that is probably the most important thing, isn't it? We could build the most amazing quality model kits and simply just not have them spark joy, whilst something a little older and perhaps a bit more tatty might be the most fun we have all year. And with that, I think it's time to end this video here. I have thoroughly enjoyed building most of the models that have made their way onto my workbench this year, and for a comparison to this video, make sure you check out my worst builds of 2025 as well. I'd like to thank everyone who has supported the channel this year, from my Model Club members here on YouTube and Patreon, to those who supported the channel in other ways, and everyone who has watched, commented, liked and shared. To find out more about becoming a Model Club member, or how to support the channel in other ways, check out the links in the description. If you would like to come on this modelling journey with me and join our ever-growing community, make sure you subscribe with notifications turned on so you never miss a modelling video. Finally though, a massive thank you to you for watching this one. Let me know in the comments what your plans are for 2026, and I'll see you on the workbench again soon.